Well, hello to you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter what time you are watching this. My name is Sol. We are for one more episode of the series exploring the world of complementary holistic therapy. In the previous episode, we saw the life coaching, EFT, hypnotherapy, and flower essence. And today I bring a new guest, Louise, and we are talking about Reiki, but no as a therapy, but is a practice. So I would like to welcome Louise, and would you like that she introduce herself, tell about a little bit about herself. So welcome, Louise. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Sol. It is a delight to come and join you this afternoon. I'm really looking forward to this. So thank you for asking me. Yes, I'm Louise. And as you said, our topic this afternoon is Reiki practice. So I've been practicing Reiki since 2003. And I really enjoyed also being a Reiki practitioner and offering Reiki healing. And I worked as a complementary therapist for a number of years. Things have changed in direction, so I still offer Reiki. I do a little bit of Reiki tuition still, but I'm moving more into a creative field, and that's blending spirituality, meditation, and exploring awareness and consciousness through photography and through creative writing.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. It's so nice to see how our life flow in a way when we allow the life to move to where we need to go. No always thinking, no, I'm going to be, for example, engineer the rest of my life and I am retired and that's it. I'm going to watch TV or moving around and nothing more. It's so good when we accept, well, one day I was engineer and I became a nice chef and now I'm cooking Japanese food, for example. Something totally different from the where it was, but no soul, because you need to have loads of creativity in the engineering field. When you move to cooking, you need to have the same thing in the production, because you need to make a lot of sushis and everything. So is everything take our life in a way that we progress, and we need to take this as a journey and to learn more and more. So for you, what is Reiki?
Oh, Sol, as both of us are Reiki practitioners, I guess we've both come across this question so many times. And every time my answer is different depending who I'm talking to. So it's a real treat to be able to answer this question today with you. So I guess a lot of people are familiar, perhaps in the West, of Reiki being a healing modality. It's a form of palm healing, and it's channeling healing energy. But I guess those people who come to feel called to learn Reiki start to understand that it's a lot more than just palm healing. Palm healing is just scratching the surface, really. It's just the tip of the iceberg. And for me, Reiki has just been an inherent part of my growth as a person over the years. So I think what we tend to find is that when we have just palm healing as one aspect, when we start to look at all the aspects that are involved in Reiki, we can uncover a beautiful, beautiful, simple system for well-being, I think, for personal well-being. For me, it's become a practice of self-care, of self-nurture, of self-nourishment. I feel like it is ultimately a path towards loving oneself, a path towards greater kindness and compassion to oneself. And of course, when that happens, one can kind of overflow, and it just, if there's love and compassion for oneself, then it just naturally radiates out into the world. And that's just such a beautiful thing, I think. So I think there's something about Reiki being a path to realizing who we really are and allowing that inner light that's always there to naturally shine brighter. So I think that's going to be my answer about what is Reiki today.
Yes, because as you say, it's quite hard when someone come, or a student or a client come to us and say for the first time they never experienced Reiki before and they want to answer quick, and it's hard to open all this spectrum about Reiki in the first meeting. So we tend to reduce the amount and go more straight away to the external, the tip, very, very, very tiny tip of the iceberg to tell what is Reiki. And after, when the progress in the thing, they start to be more understanding about that it's just not just hands-on healing.
Yes.
It's not hands-on healing. It's much more than this. It's just the external, I'm saying, the external part of the proper practice.
Yes. Yes, and I think that's such an important point, Sol, because actually for me, Reiki practice is about the journey inwards. Yeah. It is absolutely about the journey inwards, and that can't be done in a day. It takes time to really appreciate all the mysteries that are being revealed, and and it's I've found that for me, Reiki practice is as challenging as it is rewarding. Because there are certain aspects within ourselves it's not always comfortable to look at some things. Yeah. I think Reiki practice gives us that courage and stability to be able to do this for ourselves.
Yes, for sure. Yes, and it's so nice when mainly when you teach, you can see that is sparkling, that the person when come and start to see that was not just that tip of the iceberg, and they start to, you can see the transformation in them. That is, yes. I think that is the beauty for when you participate to just to be a testimonial of that kind of thing happen.
Yes. Yes.
So many, like I say, many of us look Reiki as a complementary therapy, try to put like a scientific proof that Reiki really works, that it's not a placebo and all this. And they see as just as a complementary therapy, as a practice. Okay. And can you share your thoughts about that?
Yes. So I've been trying to just reflect on essentially what is the difference between it as a complementary therapy and then as a practice, because there are very distinct differences. And I think if it boils down to it, as a therapy, we've got essentially two people, a therapist and a client or a patient, and essentially that patient or client is coming to the therapist because they're in need of help. they've got something, a pain, suffering, whatever, that they want to be fixed. There is something about the mind just wants this to be eradicated, got rid of, fixed, cured. And there is this perception that the therapist has those skills and they're going to sort it. And I know that sounds a little bit dismissive, but, and I don't mean it that way, because actually, I mean, I've practiced as a therapist for years, and it is an utter privilege to be able to offer this service and bring this beautiful healing to people, because it is a beautiful, beautiful healing. But I think there is a difference then if somebody is drawn to learn to practice Reiki, suddenly there is a shift in dynamics, because that person is suddenly no longer dependent on another person. They are brought into a place where they have autonomy and choice and can take the reins. You know, for me then, Reiki practice becomes a process of self-empowerment.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I think that is one of the things, because if we come back to it as a therapy, what the client can see clearly is just that one aspect of palm healing, of the tenahira, the Japanese term for palm healing. They get to see and experience that. What they're actually getting is the full package, but that isn't necessarily perceptible to the client. But when we start to go into the practice of Reiki, we start to get this full, complete picture, and we can start to use this as tools to help navigate through life. And for me, then Reiki practice becomes like the ultimate art in self-care and the ultimate art in self-empowerment, which somebody isn't necessarily going to get in a therapy session.
Exactly.
Because the dynamics are completely different. And like I say, that the therapy session is glorious, it is beautiful. I don't want to minimize that in any way. But I think that, for me, is the difference. And we get this, in practice, we get this really clear set of simple, effective tools. And they're so simple, so aren't they? Some of the Reiki practices, they're so simple. Anybody can do them. But they have the most profound impact in all areas of life. So suddenly we're given this skill set for living.
Exactly. And the beauty too, when you look the man behind that Mikao Sui, because the people tend to, when someone do something so amazing, we put the guy in in a position very high. Seems that I will not be able to achieve that one, because the guy is like a same god. No, he's like a, oh my god, but no, is a model. He went in the whole process. He wasn't he was trying to figure out about himself. He was with an internal crisis. He would like to find a way to achieve the enlightenment, to resolve the issues that he was feeling in his own life. Well, the main thing was not the guy that, well, no, I'm going to find a way to sell this. It's not, wasn't, it's not like he was trying to, as every single one can have the same difficulty in life.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a model that if he does, we can do it the same
Yes.
thing. The only thing that I went through this and I give to you the steps, simple step to achieve that. I think that is the beauty. And the see Mikao Sui in his humanity, he was a man that struggled. He was no succeeding his business or something, like many of us wasn't. And it's important to see the two forms that you say in terms to be a complementary therapy, when you see client come in a regular way and they start to, as I say, what would be the word, right? To let go, really. And every session, you see the person become something else. Every time that a person comes, is different. The experience is different. It's not equal. I always say every session will be different. Never will be the same. It's not like, okay, you have a massage, the lady will be procedure in that way. You're feeling the hands over there and you know, making like using our body like a bread. And you expect that result, but in Reiki, it's not like take you to another dimension.
Mm.
Treatment, and as a practice can take to you really to a state of being much more happy, I'm saying.
Yes, and I like that phrase, state of being, Sol, because I think when we start to go deeper into Reiki practice, we start to realize that it's not necessarily what we're doing or how we're doing it. It's more about the state of being that we are in, and then the doing arises out of that state of being.
That this is a thing. Well, as a practice, what will be the steps to go in this direction? That was another question that I sent to you.
Yeah, so I think the steps, I think the beauty of the steps is that Usui, he really did keep things simple. So nothing that we've got in the steps is complicated at all. I don't think. I don't think. They're very, very simple things. When we come to learn Reiki, there's 5 techniques that Usui offers us. And the first one of those is breathing. So he offers us very, very simple breathing techniques that anybody can. I mean, we're all practiced in breathing. We do it 24/7, 365 days a year. So we've all got a degree of experience in breathing. But he teaches us some very, very simple techniques. He also teaches us an aspect of vibrational medicine to help us fine-tune our sensitivity and come back home to who we truly are. So this comes through in the form of symbols or mantras, symbols and mantras. In Japanese, they're shirushi and jumen. So we've got the ability to use something that comes in like a pictograph or symbol form, and these are used as signposts to help point us back to our true self. Or we can use like a mantra, so there's this aspect then of chanting or vibration, sound healing. Then we've got the palm healing, is a third aspect of Reiki. We've got a really, really important aspect then in Reiki practice, which I would say is the absolute utter cornerstone of Reiki practice, and they're known as the precepts. And these are Usui's, not rules, but just guidelines for living. They're 5 really simple statements that just encourage us to live in the moment, live in the now, and offer us opportunities to shine that spotlight of awareness on the conditionings and the patterns and the judgments and the limiting beliefs of mind and ego, that which restricts us, that which puts us down, and step into more of our true light and our true radiance. And then the 5th practice, the 5th step is something called Reiju, which the other 4, one can go to a teacher and then come home and practice on one's own, but Reiju requires the support of another practitioner, a practitioner teacher, until you've learned how to do Reiju for yourself. But Reiju is a form of spiritual blessing, I guess, that just helps the individual to, for me, it's like it accelerates one's experience of one's inner light. It's almost like a direct taste of, a taster of what that light is like in there.
Yes, because it's when you perform a Reiju in someone, you can see when they open the eyes, they are totally different from when before they close their eyes
Yes.
to prepare to receive. And so it's very interesting to see how this make more the proper body become more aware of all of this, and really surrender to that. So when you have it the first time, okay, when you have it the second time, you know that just surrender. You surrender more and more, and the fear, the worries melt totally. Né?
Yes.
It's very
Yes, and this is one of Usui's wishes, I think, that humanity, um, are able to see through the illusions of mind, that they're able to see through the limitations that fear and worry and anger, they restrict. It creates like prison bars around us, and I think this is one of Usui's wishes, that humanity can evolve beyond that and see what's on the other side of those perceived limitations.
exactly.
And surrender, I love that word too, Sol. I think Reiki is a practice of surrender, a practice of allowing, a practice of coming home.
Exactly. Yeah. And you drop all, mainly the fear that what will happen with me if we surrender.
Yes.
You come home. It's just not nothing will be damage you. Not, it's safe. It's a path, and you feel safe in this path. That as much as you practice and as much as you dive into the practice.
Yes. Yes. And I was thinking about, because of course Reiki was developed 100 years ago in a culture very, very different to ours, completely different to ours. And some of the things I've been reflecting on is kind of like, well, how relevant is it to us today in the West when it was developed 100 years ago for a completely different culture in the East? And of course, Reiki was born in Japan, where one of the predominant religions is Shintoism, that is absolutely rooted in nature. And our culture today, 100 years on in the West, is one that is absolutely rooted in technology and virtual reality. And so I think about the contrast here. One is deeply, deeply connected with our inherent, inseparable connection with nature. And I think that is so valuable as human beings, to realize that, the way culture is heading at the moment in the West, it feels like we're moving further and further away into this world of screen and tech and virtual reality. And so to come back to the truth of who and what we are, and how we integrate and how we relate with that. And I think this might be going off on a tangent, Sol, but we look at the Earth, poor Gaia. She's in crisis because of what humanity is doing. And I think if we come back, if we have a practice that opens our hearts to love and compassion for ourselves, and realize that we're not separate from nature, we're not separate from the Earth. So therefore, what I do to myself, I do to the Earth. What I do to the Earth, I do to myself. So if I have love and compassion for myself, I cannot harm nature or the Earth, because I will be harming myself. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course, because and this is that we are suffering mainly because we have been, for some reason, all the any kind of I'm saying, anything that we learn in the previous time, whatever, that we are living. For me, we are living the paradise, but we are so blind, and we are so full of fear to accept that we are totally feel that we are detached from the paradise. But the paradise, we still live in the paradise. The problem is that our ego and our, mainly I think our fear to accept that we are totally depend of the Mother Earth, and the Gaia, and that this make us our being like what will be happen if I let go.
Yes. Yes.
It is a culture that have been growing that you did something and now you are not anymore in the paradise. Is the was in I think in the point that the human being realized that they have a ego, and that scare them and block us to be in contact with the proper
Yes.
paradise. We live in the paradise. We are
Yes.
surrounded from the paradise, and
Yes.
we are destroying the paradise. So we are is a totally madness, né? But is sometimes I see as something that for some reason we are experience that to grow in a certain way, because nothing happened really for without reason.
Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I think Reiki practice is one way of getting off that path of self-destruction and being able to release those blinkers that blind us to the what is here. And so when we can release all of that which blocks and masks and realize, yes, like you say, we can see through the eyes of our heart, and we can realize that we already have heaven on earth.
Yeah. we we are living in a paradise, because everything, if you when you open your eyes, the beauty of we are involved with the plants and the flowers. Just look at if you look at rose, you'll be like all day looking. You can't absorb the beauty inside when you see just if you can, my God, how on earth is the beauty. And when we went to the technology and everything, and with the buildings in some like industrial estates and everything, you don't see beauty over there. It's very ugly, very, it's so dense, and doesn't exist a beauty to in the if the people like plant some trees or put some flowers, I don't know, painting more colorful, whatever. So to make, because I think we are uh, going out of the beauty of the proper, because the earth is beautiful, it is a paradise, and we are destroying the beauty.
Yeah.
Right? And we destroy ourselves because we we are one of the uh, spectrum, or the one of the no spectrum, one of the creation of the proper environment. No?
I remember somebody that came to learn Reiki with me, and after the first few Reijus, she left and she came back, and this was after her first visit, and she went, "Oh my goodness me," she said, "it was as if," she said, "it felt like somebody put new glasses on her," because she said the natural world out there, the trees, the hedges, the birds, suddenly were in technicolor. She could, everything just suddenly became so vibrant and alive. And she said that she'd been sleepwalking prior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you see all the beauty, you don't want to destroy the beauty. But this is the main thing. Né? So I think that, as you say, Reiki is one of the ways. Né? It's so simple, né? And the wish. I think that every single one that practices Reiki, as every single house on the planet, could have just one, just one practice Reiki. It doesn't matter if it have 10% in the house. If it just one practice,
Yes.
will be will be change that environment, because we see the change in the life of on us, mainly because I see the changes that did in my life. You saw what happened with you with Reiki in your life, that in the end, Reiki is around us all the time. You can't touch, is you breathe Reiki. It's just the matter of you realize that you are doing that. Is another another, as you say, something that dropped, you know, that you just open and you say, oh my God, it was there, you know, it's around me. I can't survive without Reiki. We
Yes.
can't survive.
Yes, we are Reiki.
Yeah.
The universe is that animating life force, that omnipresent energy, that which makes blades of grass grow, that which gives birth to new stars. We are that. We are that. That is.
Yeah.
That is.
Is that is no more like no more is just accept that and live happy, you know, and enjoy and laughing. And you are reading a book, when you are writing something, when you are painting, when you are working. It's just let that energy flows as much as then you allow as much as you'll be flowing. And the people you look at you say, what you did? I did nothing.
Yes.
Just what I can do, we just laugh, you know. So many people say that these people, and they all, you start to talk about Reiki, they laughing, they well, because it's part of the practice to be in that way, you know. And in after all that, the final question is quite no very relevant, but because we pointed in this direction as a practice since the beginning, no something that came afterwards, right?
Yes, I think so. I think so. I think if we look at Usui's life, and you've already mentioned this afternoon already, Sol, you know, here is a man who he was very lucky in that he was brought up in Tendai Buddhism, and so he had a life that was supporting him, but he was on a quest. He was searching to know who he truly was, what humans truly are, and how that integrates with all that is. And you know, his whole life was dedicated to personal practice.
Mm-hmm.
And that meditation and holy pilgrimage to Mount Karama, which is kind of like the key part of the story that everybody can agree on.
Yes.
That it was at that moment that he got that insight that he'd been searching for all his life, and realized that it wasn't dependent on being a monk in a monastery for meditating for 8 hours a day. It wasn't dependent on being a Christian, being a Jew, being a Hindu. It didn't matter about dogma. He realized that this was every human's inherent birthright. And I think in terms of the Tenahira, the palm healing, this is just a lovely, wonderful byproduct.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, you know, if the well fills up and then it overflows, it's like, well, what should I do with the excess? Oh, let's do a bit of palming. You know, so I don't think, and I think the other thing is we have to remember that palm healing has been an inherent part of culture in the Eastern world for millennia. China, Japan, Tibet. And it goes through various different names. There's various different forms of palm healing. And Usui never called this system Reiki. The word Reiki already existed before the system was set up. He actually, when he had this epiphany on the mountain, he developed something that he insisted was his unique original method.
Mm-hmm.
My method for spiritual perfection. It was after he passed away that they felt the Gakkai, the society, needed to call it something. And Reiki was a familiar word in Japan, but also Usui he drew on familiar practices that the Japanese people would easily identify with, that was already inherent within their culture of Shinto or Buddhism, so that it was easy to do. So I think I think absolutely he fundamentally put this down as a something to guide people as a way of life, as a practice to help realize the truth of who they are. And then yes, this wonderful byproduct of of palm healing is there. But also, of course, you see, when we practice Reiki, the palm healing is for us. You know, we give ourselves palm healing. So it's
it's something that for some reason the hands is always be a part of our human to give support. We touch the person and we use our hands. And if we are like it is part of to be a human in terms that before we use the members to walk, and now we just the legs touch the ground for to be free to touch.
Yes, and I also think that for me, the hands, they're an extension of the heart. We've got little heart chakras in the palms here, and you know, so you know, in order to embrace, and so you know, this is heart energy. Where essentially it's heart energy. So I think it's, they're just like a badminton racket or a tennis racket. It's an extension of the arm when playing a sport. This is an extension of essentially heart energy and how we embrace the world.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. And we are going to stop because otherwise we'll be going to talk about Reiki the whole afternoon and much more.
Yes, we'll never stop, will we? So
what we can do is our passion, and that's it. Is what it is. So thank you so much for your time to in this conversation about Reiki, and I hope to see another time to talk about Reiki in another aspect, and who knows what life will bring.
It's been really joyful. Thank you so much, Sol. It's been an absolute privilege and joy to talk with you this afternoon about such a topic we're both passionate about.
Thank you. Bye, people.